What was the problem you were facing before coaching?
So my problem was that I'd literally just come off the back of being in hospital and being on extended medication after a bit of a torrid time of ended up with sepsis, bone infection in my hip, blood clot in my lung, blood clot in my hips. It kind of affected my mobility massively to the point I at one point couldn't really walk properly without it being a lot of pain. After coming off my medication, my fitness just wasn't there. My job's quite active, so I needed to sort of get back to being as fit as I was prior to that all happening.
Pretty self-explanatory. You sort of touched it, but how is it affecting your life?
It meant that I wasn't as fit as I was. I wasn't able to kind of do the things that I normally do. Obviously, I was off work at the time to recover. But when I went back to work, I was still sort of restricted because obviously I was still deemed to not be fit. So it's still having quite an impact. Obviously, it affected like what I could do with my partner and stuff like that.
So what stopped you solving the problem yourself?
I'd never really been through anything like that before. I've always sort of kept myself relatively, say, fit. Like I'd kind of go to gym, come out of the gym, sort of thing all the time. But like, I know in myself, I'm a kind of all or nothing. That doing it myself, probably coming back from what I was coming back from, was probably just a bit too much. Not something I'd really ever had to do before. So probably just needed that little bit more from somebody who's obviously a bit more clued up on how to kind of rehab back from what I'd come from.
So what was different about what we did and what you've done before fitness wise?
It's more like kind of building it up gradually in a way that's not going to just completely wreck my muscles to the point that I then lose the motivation, then fall out of the gym because that's what I always do. And then my muscles ache for days and days and days, and then I don't go. Then the motivation wanes off. Whereas it's kind of building it up slowly, but in like a controlled way that's manageable for me, rather than like kind of just breaking me to a certain extent. Yeah, which is what I would do to myself. And I know I'm my own worst enemy.
When did you know the coaching was working?
I was in less pain in regards to like my hip and like going where I'd had like the sort of bone infection, and I'm sort of feeling like a lot more the mobility coming back, the strength was coming back in my legs, so I was sort of able to, as well as kind of lifting more, just the mobility side of things. So I was able to run further, run faster. When I was in hospital, couldn't really walk unaided properly to 18k, which seemed like a complete stretch from where I was. So yeah, that kind of knowing that what we were doing in the gym combined with what I was doing with the running was working.
What was the
Yeah,
best thing about the coaching?
I think it's just having that plan of knowing what I'm going to be doing each week. Whereas, like I say, if I'm on my own, I'll go tank something one day, go tank something the next day, then go tank something the third day, and then I'm burnt out. Whereas having that kind of plan, so to speak, knowing that this is what I'm expected to do. I'm not expected to go tank the gym 7 days a week, which is what I'd probably put on myself because that's what in my head, that's what I've got to do. When actually, I don't need to do that. It's just more controlled sort of thing. So it reins me in, so to speak.
How has your life changed as a result of what we've been doing?
I'm back to work, kind of exercising regularly. I very rarely have any pain in my hip and sort of groin where I obviously had the sort of infection and don't really have any issues sort of running like with the blood clot in my lungs and stuff like that. So it's kind of to a point what happened essentially doesn't really feel like it has happened in a weird way because it's sort of a bit of a distant memory in comparison to where I was to where I am now. I'm now able to go to work, fight with people at work for a living. So yeah, basically, and back to kind of feel as close to what I was before going into hospital.
Wicked. Good. I'll put a little caveat that you're a police officer in there as well, so people don't go that you you go
Fighting
into the
people
office and just offering people out.
because I can.
Because you can now, yeah. Exactly that. So, what's different about your approach to fitness now versus your approach to fitness maybe pre the illness and stuff and the working that we've been doing together?
I suppose it's just knowing that I don't have to tank the gym, like don't have to break myself to feel like I'm achieving something. Whereas you can just do things in a controlled way and with a bit of a plan. Whereas it's sort of a bit like kind of I'll just wing it. Whereas actually there's no point winging it because you're just going to end up injuring myself or causing myself to ache so much that I want to go to the gym and then lose that motivation to go back, sort of thing. So yeah, it's that kind of control and plans. I suppose now that I've kind of gone through that plan, gone through that sort of controlled way of doing it. I'd find it hard to then probably go back to that because I feel like it would just kind of feel more abnormal now. I feel like it would just have to be a case of, I don't think I would go back to it in a weird way because I feel like that would be now the abnormal to what I do now. I went to work the other day and like somebody said, "Oh, you go to the gym?" Like sort of thing, your sort of shoulders are looking bigger, like whatever. And I was like, oh, "Yeah, I am." Like, it just shows that I don't need to go be all or nothing. It sort of shows there's a bit of a difference. Yeah,
Mad, mad.
madness, madness. Like I say, it just all feels like a bit of a distant memory. Obviously, when we had that first meeting, I was still in pain. Even like, not that my mobility was there, like walking, I was all right, but it was still could feel it just to walk and stuff like that. I don't really have that now. And when I fight meth addicts. No, I don't know. I suppose the only thing I would say is I probably wouldn't be in the position I am now without going through the coaching that I've had with yourself, sort of thing. Because I know what I'd have done. I'd have broken myself. I'd have broken myself completely, and probably injured myself. If not, made my hip and my groin worse. If that makes sense, and probably ended up maybe not back in hospital, but definitely receiving some sort of treatment for something. Because I know what I'd have done. I'd have just broken like on that all or nothing attitude, and so I feel like without doing what we've done, yeah, I'd be in a lot worse place than what I am now.